Meeting to order. The first order of business is, where's Adam at? To approve the agenda as presented, or if there are any add-ons.
I'll approve.
Yeah,
I'll
Give
second
me a
it.
second.
there we go. And,
So I'm assuming we're all in favor then.
the minutes from September 17th, 1938.
I will approve those also.
And I'll second that.
And, Counselor, you're the bill payer.
Yes,
You went through all of the monthly bills and,
yes. I first of all, Kita's financials first. I went through them, they all seem to be in order, and I would recommend approving them. Didn't notice anything that's,
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
they don't look very big this much, was it?
No, by design.
And I would need a second on the bills after,
I'll second that, I guess.
and cold weather testing.
cold weather testing. The same, it all looked it over. There is a transfer this month of $15,000 to Kita from cold weather testing, but otherwise everything looked in order.
You'll note on page 3, we're getting ready for the cold weather
Yeah.
testing season. And so we have the annual run up to that. We have a fair amount of expenses. But that also includes the Kennedy Electric for $45,000. We brought in another, with Minnesota Power, they brought in an additional power and transformer to support, and then we've got one fast charger out at the test building and 5 slow chargers or overnight chargers. This is a new fast charger at the request of Jaguar Land Rover. So they're paying for the charger, and they're actually going to pay for a lot of these expenses as a partner. So we'll get reimbursed for, I think, almost all of it, Kyra?
These are chargers for electric vehicles?
Electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, Dick, that if you've been monitoring any of the media, that the manufacturers are really pulling back on the EVs, especially in
Yeah.
North America. And we found that out too. But Jaguar Land Rover, with their position as global, and they do a lot of work overseas, they're still committed to full EVs. So they're going to have a fair amount. They're going to have a fleet this winter, and they're going to hire local drivers to drive electric vehicles. So this is in support of that program. But again, they're paying for it, which is great. I don't know what the range is projected on some of these, but that's been a real challenge, is the cold weather and heat for these EVs. And the market just hasn't adopted, North America's market is just not adopting EVs. And so, but Jaguar will press on. So that's what you're seeing is reflected. But we were able to put that in, and the charger, we're awaiting the charger. Other than that, do we have, I didn't see the refrigeration in here.
It wasn't.
It wasn't in there?
Not that I recall.
Oh, we haven't been invoiced yet.
Yeah.
Because they just,
Yes.
we've got 3 cold boxes up, cold rooms
There
up
it
there.
is.
There, that.
I thought it was in the room downstairs.
Well, you know what? I would have went there. I would have went there too if I wouldn't have showed up when these guys did.
Thank you for making it. We had a tough time with people scrambling last minute.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you for coming, Commissioner. We've approved the minutes, and we got a professional treasurer's report from International Falls Counselor. And we're just about to,
Just wrapping up the cold weather, just mentioning we've got some startup expenses, but our refrigeration company was just up getting our 3 cold boxes prepped for the season, and they had to replace a couple of fan motors, and so there will be some expenses related to that, but that's pretty standard. We'll see those next month, but
They come from Grand Forks or something?
Grand Forks, they've been with us for 24 years. And yeah, we've never missed a day with our cold rooms down. They respond to us that well, and we've had issues once in a while, but knock on wood. So, that's the addition, Mr. Treasurer. So.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
You want to talk a little bit more about the cold weather testing?
I will in my director's report.
All right.
But if I could, Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Chair, one other thing related to, and it goes more to our budget. We just got notified from our auditor, and this will affect a lot of groups, that the legislature just passed a new ruling on audit thresholds or income thresholds for certain size organizations. It used to be, what was it, Kyra, 75,000 or? I can't remember what that. No, it was more than that.
It was like 300,000.
Yeah, it was closer to 300.
Yeah.
So we crossed that threshold. So we were required by state to have an audit every year, and if you've gotten through audits, you know how expensive they're getting. We're spending almost $10,000 for a very simple audit. I don't know what the county and cities.
Oh, it's
expensive.
Yeah, better.
So I think the state was hearing from a lot of organizations that, it's a little ridiculous to do it every year. So we were notified by our audit group that it's now $1 million, so we don't hit that threshold. So at the next meeting, when I think I've asked just to let the whole board know that I would suggest that we move to an every year audit just to save the money, and we're so uniform in our budget every year, and our revenues are such that I think
every other year.
Every other year would protect us, and Kyra's been working with our auditors for so long, and I asked them, I said, would you still be interested in doing it? Because that's the other problem you run into, is if you do go to it every year, they'll drop you and say, well, it's, we're not going to stick with you for, it's just that. But I think a lot of organizations are going that way, so they've agreed to stick with us. So anyway.
Is there any other kind of audit? Is there an audit that isn't political, that isn't cost so much, or is it just?
No, it's that, especially if the state's requiring it, they have to have.
It's either got to be this or some type of certain license or whatever.
Right.
Are you'll bring this to us in November?
I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and we just were notified. So that's, in a way, it's good news, because it was a little ridiculous to spend that kind of money.
We talked about that a little bit at the city meetings. You know, just how much it is.
It's getting, and it's getting harder and harder to find auditors that will take them on.
Who does it?
Honey, Giroux, and Walker, Giroux, and Honey, out of Virginia.
Oh, okay. The county uses people from Peak River.
They've been the same audit group for,
Yeah, we used, except for the one year when they had the little row with the state. Well, then the state came in and did it themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That was, now we don't have they don't have a popcorn fund anymore, so there you go. The pop machine gave the popcorn money.
Paul, I thought that we had some cancellation, or a cancellation in the cold weather testing.
Yeah.
Is it any chance to fill any of that time up?
I am filling it as we speak, actually. I can touch on that. You want to move on to the director's report?
Yeah, we're going to the director's
Oh,
report.
do we need approval for the?
Oh, he seconded.
I think we did.
Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Impromptu. Couple items, director's report. It's been fairly quiet, but there's enough to report here on. Our warehouse project in the foreign trade zone. And as I mentioned here, I've really stressed to our project partner, Onesimus, and our friend Felix, that because of some of the delays, I'd like to have him give regular updates, especially to the city, because the city, they have a developer's agreement with the city EDA for land that they're going to put this warehouse on. So he did provide a written update to the city, the mayor and Betty, that basically they're working with 3 different lenders, 2 of them domestic and 1 of them international, to finance, to provide the initial financing, and they're hoping to have that wrapped up this quarter. There's been like so much that happens in economic development. There's fits and starts, and there's hurdles that get thrown up. But I stressed to him that while there's still support, we need to see some forward motion, and he understands that, and so he's really focused, spending his time on getting this funding piece developed. So that's the intent, is to get this quarter, and so that they can move on and do design build, work with their design builder so that they can start in the spring when the conditions allow. So we'll hold them to that, and hopefully have some a good news report next month on progress.
Getting more difficult to do stuff every day.
And part of the problem too is they're treating him as a startup, even though he's had history in that industry and logistics for a lot of these banks. It's like it's a different animal. Trying to look at risk and revenue and how do you make money on this? And they said, talking to one of the bankers, they said, yeah, this is kind of a different animal. So I think that's required a little bit more.
It's not as black and white as
as financing a car dealership or just a plain warehouse. But anyway, so we'll again hold them to that, and we'll hopefully have some good news next month. On the cold weather testing, our season is actually underway. We've got a customer on the ground right now. They've been with us before, and so far so good. It's a snowmobile manufacturer, and they're running with wheels on their skis. And we're going to try for our first minus 40 tomorrow night, and hopefully we can hit minus 40. As I mentioned, we have had some cancellation from one of our major customers, but we are backfilling with a couple of other customers, and we're going to probably miss 1 week out of the 4 that they canceled, so we're going to be okay. One other thing that I know is I touched on the electric charger, but also that our longtime on-site test manager, Tim Jackson, has had to retire due to some health issues. He's been with us, he's been with cold weather testing for, going back to Francis Heinerson, 40 years at the airport. He's also an electrician. He's just one of those guys that can wear many hats and do a lot of different things, and he's great with customers. He's there at 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night if you need him. I told him, I said, you're going to be very difficult to replace because a lot of these young people won't be there at 6 a.m. and come back at 10 o'clock at night. But he's been just fantastic, and he's been part of a big part of our success because of his commitment, and he's out there this morning wanting to make sure everything's going well, and he's coming along with his recovery, but he's had to retire, and his daughter has stepped up. She's worked out there a couple winters with him, and she's now stepped in, and she's been really terrific. So kind of mixed feelings there. I just hate to see Tim go, but I understand, and again, we'll hope to have some sort of party for him to basically thank him for his years of service. Minnesota Extension, we had, as you recall, they've been working with the county. Adam, you sat in on some of those. I think, Pete, you've been involved in some of those. And they had a Move to Action workshop, which is basically the progression of this process where they try to find ways to improve the lives of citizens in Cooch County in these different areas, whether it's housing or mental health. And we signed on as part of the economic development group. And unfortunately, there was only 3 of us there for this 4-hour session. Mike and myself and Fran Einerson. But we kind of worked through a process where they try to identify a project or a way to move some initiative forward. And because we don't have a budget for this, and because there's just three of us and it's county-wide, it was kind of tough.
Yeah.
But we came up with this notion of, okay, we'll work on attraction. So we're trying to figure out a way to attract people or to get. So we came up with this notion of trying to interview people that have moved here, either returned that are from here, or from outside the area that moved here. And I know there's some really interesting stories of people that ended up in Cooch for a variety of reasons. And so we're going to use that kind of as a marketing tool. We'll put it on our website. We'll also put something on social media where we'll have these stories. I don't know how it's going to end up, but that's kind of what the direction we focused on. Again, because we don't have a lot of resources, and there's three old guys trying to lead the charge here. I include you in the old guys, but
Well, I am the old one.
but I don't know, Mike, if you had anything you wanted to add to.
Actually, well, I do. Just to add that Mayor Ferguson is also part of the group. How's your mom doing?
She's fine. She's had an appointment she had to be
So
at.
that particular day,
Yeah, I planned to come, but I just
Yeah,
did not work
you
that
got,
day.
my mom comes first.
absolutely.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't been there, there was a lot of requests for ideas, and some of the comments were, preserve the airport and it's key. Continue to support the businesses that are here. Make sure your websites are up to date. Keep wages competitive. Keep a strong union town. We talked about infrastructure improvements such as cell phones and broadband. And some of them were a little terse. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
More buying politically from county and especially the city. Keep CONCON, and CONCON is not a county-wide fund. It's just from east of Birchdale over to the county line. And what it is when you're driving down the road and you notice those ditches that just go off forever. There was a time in the county board's history that when the first settlers came and a few of the surveyors, they reported back that if you could drain this area, it would rival the delta of the Nile for agriculture because of the peat. So the county board, and not just Koochiching, 7 or 8 other counties too, but mostly west of us, and then it included what's Aiken in Itasca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they borrowed a tremendous amount of money, and the idea was to drain the swamp, and people would come, and they offered parcels where people would come, and they came. I noticed in the Vedette paper from 50, 60 years ago, or longer than that, maybe 80 years ago, that said that the idea is that send people, the surveyors will go in, and loggers will come behind them and cut the wood, and it would lay on the sides of the ditch itself, and when the steam shovels came, they'd use that for fuel. And it worked, as you can see. I mean, some of them are overgrown, but they also told them that you'll be able to drive a car on the spoils. So a lot of people came and thought that was a great idea, and they didn't pay their taxes, they left. So the county board was stuck with this huge bill. What the plan was is to pay off with the real estate taxes. Well, it never came. No money came, and they defaulted on the bill or on the money. Well, the state of Minnesota eventually stepped in and paid off the bonds that the county had taken in return for ownership of the land. And that's why you see so much state land, especially in the western part of the county. And that's how otherwise it was private up until that time.
That didn't revert to the county?
No, they couldn't pay the deal was state paid the bonds off.
Also, the county would have had to have paid that loan for the, okay.
Yeah,
Those same ditches are in northern, or Lake of the Woods County, down by the CC camp and
Yeah,
Fox
Marshall
Tower.
County.
And all the way
All
through.
west of here,
Yeah.
they're,
Beltrami,
Pine Island.
Rosso.
It'd be interesting to like do a total of how many miles of ditches there are.
Yeah, I
because
used
it's
to
impressive.
it did not work as far as draining the
Yeah,
land.
no.
I've logged alongside them,
Yeah.
and it appears that the trees grew real well
Yeah.
because of it, but you get 100 feet from it, and then they're stunted.
Yeah.
It just drained very close to the ditch.
Well, they talked about keeping Concon, and it really doesn't have any relationship, though the county can borrow money for economic development within the area that the Concon is in.
Well, thank you for that, because now I know what that is.
Bring in more outside experts. Who they are, I don't know. Apply for grants for community growth. And then there was another category, how would I make improvements in our county? I would increase our property tax base through annexation. Get rid of KETA, so much money, no results. Retain an economic development officer. The city needs to incentivize businesses to come here with TIF. Improve the highways. Actively solicit companies to come here. Energy costs and state, county, and local taxes need to be reduced. And there was another question was how would I make improvements to our county? We need to open up more wetlands in Koochiching County so that there's more development. And I don't know how tough that'd be, but it'd be
Difficult.
I asked the senator about it yesterday, about making it easier for wetland credits, being that there's so much wetland in our county, that the wetland credit shouldn't be 1-to-1, it should be like 1 to 1/16 or something like that.
I would go further than that. I would say, who are these wetlands valuable to?
Yeah.
Well, they're valuable to the citizens of Minnesota, apparently, or that's the rationale. All right, well, then because we have so much, we'll be willing to give you a bunch of that wetlands.
Yeah.
You can pick which ones you want in return for some cash.
Yeah.
Because we can't develop it. So almost like the Concon, almost in lieu of taxes, give us or make a fund available. The state has a fund, low interest. You can borrow against it to develop wetlands. You got to get creative in some way because right now it's that process, and you've been through it. It's nobody wants to go through that, and it's very expensive.
But I did ask the senator about it yesterday.
Good. What do you say?
He said he'd take a note on it.
Yeah, because this has been going on for,
Yeah.
we don't need to just be a mill town. More bars in International Falls would build community and expand the economy.
More bars. More bars.
More liquor establishments.
Go figure.
Well, it's hard to protest one where you get bad service now, let's be honest. You know?
Promote
There's only so
tourism.
many options.
Easy to say add additional businesses. Help find buyers for local businesses. The county board's action make it not worth it for people to try to start new small ventures. They don't have to give reasons or any ideas about how to go about doing that. Market the city nationally and within the state. Put a bike trail in Birchdale, support new ideas. And the idea for the bike trail was that promote Nelson Park and Franz Jevny. They were just a mile and a half apart, 2 miles. And the idea is if you could get a bike trail along Highway 11 to get to like the Sandsmark Trail where you help with the bike, if you get on the Sandsmark Trail, you can come to Big Falls.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Oshkosh. You can go to Lowman. So it might not be such a fantasy after all. If you want a real rural type of bike recreation with decent roads, it could be done.
Yeah. And now that other state parcel that Pheasants
WMA,
Forever,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
you would
really,
want to make that not just a bike trail, maybe an ATV trail.
You know,
Then I think there's more monies available.
absolutely, and you get more users.
There is snowmobile trail that runs.
Snowmobile trails,
Yeah.
yeah. But you make it designated ATV trails.
Yep, those ATV.
That's taking over.
Oh, I was had to be south down in the Brainerd Emily area, and but there were way more when I went to get gas. There were way more side by sides getting gas at the station than cars, and the whole way on 6 there, riding. And,
Well, and Kyra was just on that
Yeah.
Sheep Ranch Road ride that they recently held, and how many, you took pictures, there was 400 they served for lunch
Roughly.
from all
There's
over.
one through Boondocks.
Yeah, there was one that started it. They all met at the sheep ranch.
Okay.
It was really impressive just to see how many,
all the
there weren't too many four-wheelers, it was almost exclusively
It's
side.
Kinda like-
hard to see four-wheelers.
Yeah.
It's all
kind of
side by
like you
side.
parking with your old truck now.
well, that was just some of the ideas.
Yeah, I mean, but there's an right. So that group knows about ATV and the trail. So we got this group of people trying to
Yeah,
get more
expand.
trails up here.
Tommy Dory.
That's why Roach isn't here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, he's
that-
been working hard, he's on that committee with St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it takes those, cooperation with other counties and actually organized trail groups, because there's money available at the state, and these groups have a lot of sway down there with those kinds of things. So I think that's a really good idea. I should just note too, a lot of those ideas are not new, and there's nothing supportive about them. I mean, how do you get there? They create new businesses. Oh, okay.
Got any ideas?
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
all right. Everything's been
And that
tried or
in the one last big meeting we had, that's like one of the things a few people have, so that you don't have to wait for somebody else either.
right.
Or start something. But yeah.
And I would just add one more thing, Mike, and then I'll be quiet for a while. But what we tried to do, in fact, with this organization was try to put everything under one roof. So we did have the small business. We had a small business counselor within our office, and those services are really helpful for people that are trying to start a business. Go through the process. What do you need to start a business? And that was successful. We got partial funding. Then they shifted how that was funded through the state and UMD, and we essentially lost it in our office. But Jenny Doherty is still providing that service out of her home, so that's good to know. But a lot of people don't know that. But we tried to consolidate as much economic development under one roof to make it simple for people. There's a lot of acronyms in the county: KEDA, KCDA, KDA. People get confused to this day, and we could talk about it every meeting, and people would still not be certain whose role. So, just that I appreciate the comments there. I mean, because
When it's interesting,
it always okay. Then who's going to do the work, and how do you get there, and then. When I get with regional folks, we talk about the same things. I mean, what are you doing down in St. Louis County? What are you doing in Itasca? And we're competing with these counties to some degree. But the other thing, too, is it starts, and I talked to the mayor about this, it starts with the fact that Minnesota is way less competitive than South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. So if you're looking, and people want that outside company to come in and bring 300 jobs, which would be great. But you're not only competing regionally, you're competing in the states. In South Dakota, I remember Ron Fagan said, I will never build another project in Minnesota. I'm going to South Dakota, I'm going to North Dakota, because the tax climate, the business climate is so much better. So, I mean, all those things factor into it. So it's easy to say some of those things, and that's fine. But it's the implementation that becomes very, as we know, sitting around this table for. I'm sorry, I'll be quiet.
Well, you got time, we drove all the way.
Well, I have to get on my,
I better be here an hour.
I have to get on my soapbox every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. Well, one part of it is the one comment was all the money that's been spent, nothing happened, but the money's been self-generated for how many years?
Yeah, we don't get any
For the
money from
most part,
city
yeah.
or county. We don't get any funding outside of cold weather testing and the IRRB gives us some.
You
Oh.
want to chat about this a little bit?
Oh, I just included that. There's another one of these Northland Foundation is doing a community gap analysis. They look at, it's from the Aspen Institute. They do an analysis of the region, what's missing, what's here to support growth or sustainability of living in rural areas. And they're going to be in Cooch Wednesday, November 19th from 2:30 to 4 at Cobblestone. As you can see, they're going to be throughout the Arrowhead. But if you have an opportunity, they'll share their findings about demographics. Again, stuff we know, but it kind of highlights what's happening in the region in terms of jobs, job demand, projections about growth, issues surrounding rural. And we're going to touch on those same topics: housing, childcare, aging, mental health, all those things. So, if you're available, I would invite you to attend.
Is it okay if I wear orange?
You can wear orange. Will you get out of the office for that? Is that still within the?
You know, it might be
Deer
hard.
season.
Funny how they
I'll have
schedule.
orange on that day too.
Funny how they schedule it.
So, the Northland Foundation, were they the ones who handled the COVID money that the state put out for economic development, or was it Northspan?
It was Northland Foundation.
I always keep waiting to let the community know what kind of impact or what kind of funding itself was put into the area. They haven't taken any initiative to create any kind of press release or anything like that.
They told me they're waiting on the state to get the green light because some of the projects are still in process.
In our area, was it $1 million?
It was over $1 million. Yeah.
Would it help if we asked Gazette to ask?
I think they have.
And there's been no response, or
They're waiting on the state to tell them when they can provide an update with detailed dollar amounts.
well, isn't it true that some of them still have access to the funding?
Yeah.
Haven't started yet.
It doesn't sunset till 2026, so that's why some of them are still in process. But some of them are completed. Quite a number of them are completed. Yeah.
Well, I think it would help, especially the International Falls area that got the bulk of the money, to let the people and the taxpayers know that, this is a positive development.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's frustrating that they haven't released that. And a number of resorts took advantage of it and were able to leverage some of those grant dollars. But I don't understand why they can't at least say 18 projects were approved. Here's a dollar amount, but
You'd think they'd want to.
yeah. But apparently the state's telling them just wait until
Everything's completed.
completed. So by that time, people will have forgotten it was even.
Well, it's a notable.
People will be needing another grant because it's been so long to update what they did.
Do you get a dialogue with these folks much?
Michael Koklaw from the Northland
that's-
Foundation. He checks in with me periodically, or I check in with him just to see what the status of some of these projects are, because some of them, for a variety of reasons, got delayed or put on hold. There's 3 big ones that are kind of still started but never completed, so I don't know what happened.
Do they? What kind of proof do they have to add to?
say they're done?
To access the money.
They have to provide receipts of the work that was done, and certain things are eligible for reimbursement, other things aren't. But, you know, like facades, building facades, windows, improvements to structures, you just need receipts, and you have to be completed, and until you're completed, you can't, you know. So it's, yeah.
Was that part of the downtown?
Yep.
Well, we
There's
have
quite a few
access.
people that took advantage.
Took
of that.
advantage, yeah.
The
Harder and
county
Ronnie.
has access to who was awarded funding, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Paul, you'd like to add?
I hope not. No, I'm that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So we'll move on, and we can get a first-hand report from the counselor here about what's going on in the city of
Stuff.
International Falls.
Stop.
I got stuff going on at home.
Yeah. You know, we speaking of ice and ice making, and with our cold box, we got Kerry Parks up and running. Ice been on it. They've been in there a couple weeks now. You know, and we've had discussions what we're going to do with that, and in the long term, me and Councillor Wagner are meeting with a group from Rec Hockey. We've had one meeting to look at some long range plans, you know. But one thing we discussed here at a meeting for Public Works with our interim director, he talked to the refrigeration guy, which I think we all kind of knew, is those ice making, the compressors out there, like, I don't know, 30 years old at least. And the building's not insulated, and when we really have the problems is like around the men's tourney in the spring, and then what they try to start it by the 1st October, the first Monday in October. Well, sometimes it's just too warm. Like this year, just couldn't keep up with it. But it's up and running, knock on wood. They got some help from PCA and with some parts and stuff like that. We had already had new ones coming, so there's some spares and there's things there. And they had some electricians over helping, working with our city engineer who did the work up there, and everybody worked together to troubleshoot it because they're having some issues with it, cutting out stuff. But right now it seems to be working fine, which is good news for everybody. And because it won't be long, and we'll be having tournaments every weekend, and that's kind of a driver that people don't think about, you know, that youth hockey, but how it turns into being an economic driver, just like cold weather testing in the winter. You know, I think they have like 8 tournaments set up, which is just about every weekend, you know, and so the motels and that get filled up, and so it helps with that, and that's why it helps with the new lodging locations that were built, you know, cobblestone and that, and speaking of TIF and whatnot, that people talk about, it brings these people in. And another example that we're going to have the Elks Convention here in a year and a half, but we would be able to do that with all those additional things. Just a heads up if you want to have something to do the 3rd June in 2027. But yeah, so that's the big doings. Then we're still working through, you know, finishing up. I think they were supposed to be here laying a layer of pavement down on the 9th Street project. This has come along good that we're doing. It's going to be a nice, getting a lot of underneath groundwork that need to be done along that. We're able to add to the contract the lead service line work at a more reasonable cost than the last time we came in just for that. That's getting done, and they're going to stop at 8th Avenue this year, and then do the rest of it next year, which will end at Highway 53. There won't be no one-way parts of it, and instead of sidewalk, there's going to be a one bike trail on the one side of bituminous instead of concrete for one of the reasons it's cheaper. But we also got money for activity grant or whatever from Midnight to walk bike, and on there, and part of that is we're gonna add on, it's gonna be a connector from the bike trail we're at the high school there, and we're gonna have one along, I get them confused, kind of like KD, Wayside Old Lane, one of those, that one on the south side, to connect with that, so that way it will actually loop around, then connect to go up to the lake and be a little nicer in town there, but there's a lot of work underneath it needed to be done. So that's good for the bigger projects, otherwise just getting ready for winter, sharpening the snow plows and stuff like that.
So the vote,
Sorry, I almost we okayed the preliminary idea design for new band shell at the park. I should have brought a picture. It's kind of just at the last meeting we're going to go out for RFPs for bids or whatever by December, so we can get an idea what it's going to cost, what if we can do the whole thing with insurance money or what. But we had a group, not a big committee, but we got together, made some compromises. It's going to be based on the whole band shell, but it's not going to be as high. It's not going to have the levels and back, where you stand to sing and that. So we'll be able to use for more multiple purpose things, hopefully, and the ADA stuff complied with the ramps. And one of the things, and hopefully we can make it part of it, is that we're going to have in front a sidewalk around and then wings on it, so people with wheelchairs or whatever would be able to pull up there and watch stuff. And I think it was a good compromise, and I think it's going to work out good. There's going to be a little smaller and won't have plumbing in it and stuff for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is if you turn your back, there's issues. So I'm pretty excited about getting this far finally, and and that was it was compromised because there were very vocal people that wanted more like the old one. Then there was a more quiet that didn't, let's get something new and all this, but come together and made some compromise. So I think it'll be good. That's it. I don't think I'll have any late entries, but you never know.
oh, that's good stuff.
Oh, we won't have a meeting before then. We have the Elks Veterans Day breakfast at the Elks, 8 to 10:30 on Veterans Day. And I haven't killed anybody yet with scrambled eggs that I've made, and I've been doing it for a long time. So if you're in the area, I know if you need to come in and get your first weekend shower and then you're around, show up at the Elks and get some eggs.
The county's in the middle of their budget season, and we're working as best we can to tighten it up so that keep the levy low and try to at least give different groups a little bit of help with their causes and just try to keep the levy low because it's been up the last few years. So.
When do you have to make your final vote?
In November sometime.
Where do you think it's projected to fall? Is it too early to tell?
Under 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be also, we're in the midst of that same things Adam just related to, and the jail is looking good. I'd like to compliment you on that.
They should be in there at the end of November also.
Yeah.
Have you been through it?
Yeah, just a week ago.
And I think the really impressive is the new Veterans Memorial there. Yeah. So they have that set up. Yeah.
Did I read that Senator Hochschild was?
Yeah, he was here yesterday and took a bunch of comments from all of us and a few other people.
Well, he travels well, considering the size of his district.
Yeah, he was very good to speak with, and he had a pretty good handle on the issues that face the county over the next few years.
Always good to get him up here. I'm glad you raised the wetlands with him too.
Because right? Cause like we said, we've been talking about it forever, but if you don't keep mentioning it, then it's like it's forgotten or don't care anymore.
It just seems every year St. Paul gets further away from the rural areas, and that the divide is getting greater. Metro versus outstate, it's, yeah. So,
We get lots of visitors though to Koochiching County from down south, but we just have to make sure we take advantage of the folks coming up.
absolutely.
What kind of discussions have you had about the old law enforcement part of the courthouse?
We're still in negotiations with the city and part of the county attorney would like to move into a portion of it, and some of the other departments would like to use some of the jail cells for after it's decommissioned for storage area also. So that all the space will get used at some point.
Oh, that's positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless I'm speaking, I think the group that working on the lease for the police to move in there is pretty much wrapped up, just working on some language stuff and things like that. So,
Well, that'll be positive news.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win for everybody.
yeah.
My name isn't in the new one on any cell or anything, is there?
Not that I know.
I erased that before I left. Right?
But it's a very nice building and
Yeah.
should serve the county well for lots of years.
Yeah.
Lake of the Woods, I think, is excited about it too, to have some storage for some of their folks.
Well, they've been told they need a new facility too, correct?
Yeah,
So right now, are they moving their?
they're just kind of renting some spots from our jail.
Yeah, they started when I was still employed there. A lot of their issues had to do with the amount of staff too that they had working at the time.
Impressive how much quicker it got done than the one in Itasca County. That drug on for years.
That was a long time.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I toured the Itasca County one too, but that was 3 times the size,
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
times the size of the International
And
Falls
had
one.
no need to be.
The one Bemidji's supposed to build one start next year, $100+ million.
Really? Wow. Did that veterans facility open up in Beltrami?
Yep.
That was not a big one too. That was,
Yep.
Veterans Clinic.
yeah.
The home. Yeah, I just talked.
The home.
But yeah, it was a
I just
combination.
talked to I just talked to the Grand Poopa, the Bemidji lodge when I was at the convention this weekend, and they had just this fall or summer, end of summer, they had a big thing for the residents and staff. They had a group from Red Lake come in and cooked walleye and wild rice and all that stuff. So yep, they're up and running and trying to get
A little bit more convenient for the Koochiching County people.
So next year there will be 2 of your colleagues up for election again?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, in the rural area, and many people were there, they opened the Bob Anderson Wildlife Management Area, and I could tell you a little story about the property. It was bought in the early 1900s by a family. Their last name was Hanson, and they lived in Fargo. And Mr. Hanson came up here on his own, viewed the property, which is right across from where the siding mill is now.
Barwick.
In Barwick, yeah. And he came to International Falls, and they did all of the paperwork so that the property was going to be in the Hanson name. And he went back to Fargo and sold the idea to his entire family, and even family in Grand Forks, that this is a great deal. I toured the area, I've looked at it. He encouraged all of his family to come, and they bought in and said, okay, we'll do it. And they sold everything they could and put all of the things that they could on the train and went from Grand Forks to Winnipeg. And at Barwick, they got off. And they were surprised because he was there in the summertime and then they come back in the spring. When he looked across the river, all the timber had been cut that winter by a firm in Ontario. And they couldn't leave. And they made a go of it. He eventually became a postmaster in the area, in the places, the area that was a post office is gone now. But yeah, they came there full of hope and they sell the wood and there was none left. And what they had done is they put it in the river right where the wildlife management area is now and floated it down to Bemidji, to Baudette, to the sawmills. So it's a mile and a half of frontage. It's between the Sioux Rapids and the Manitou, and it's probably one of the more unique areas of the Rainy River completely. It was heavily invested by the natives on the Ontario side for years. So it's kind of an area that I don't know how you put the right word to it, but it's a 10 or 12 mile area from the Manitou to Birchdale. It's unlike the rest of the river. So there were a few enterprises that thought about buying it. They offered very little for the real value. RV park, and then there was talk of maybe a developer coming in and putting up some homes along it, but they didn't want to pay for the property. They wanted it for almost nothing. So I think it's actually in a better way that it's going to be open to the public. There'll be a small access to water. So, and it is a unique parcel.
They are going to put a public access?
They're going to have an access. I don't know to what extent it's going to be as far as...
Might just be a carry down kind of
Yeah,
thing.
for now, but eventually, I don't think they wanted to say it out loud, but I think eventually,
There will be a boat access.
I bet you there will be.
And it's open to the public.
Beautiful piece of property.
Is hunting allowed there?
Yeah, but if you had I think in other wildlife management areas you can have a deer stand, but it can't be up overnight.
Yeah, that's all of the wildlife management areas, I believe. Are
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
So that's what it'll be.
And it was interesting because Pheasants Forever got involved because they knew the guy that at the time knew Bob Lassard, had a relationship, and Molpus got involved and they approached and he said, "Boy, you should see this piece of property." And then Minnesota Deer Hunters got involved, as did the timber producers. I think they had a number of organizations, but the Pheasants Forever was the main group, and then they had some supporting organizations chipped in. So it was a long term, but it's the end result was probably the best for.
It's impressive that Pheasants Forever did that in an area where there's no pheasants.
Right. But they were about habitat and it was about relationships. You know, Bob Lassard knew.
Well, he knew where he could get the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the Lassard, Sam's, piece of it. But yeah, it's a really. I was able to go there, and it's a beautiful piece of property. And that you're right, Mike. That's an interesting stretch of river there too, with Manitou
And they went through a political process too. The county board had to give its okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unique.
You've been there, right? Yeah.
Yes,
It's a unique part of the land.
a few different times.
Yeah.
I contacted both North Home and Little Fork and asked them if they had anything they'd like me to report here. And evidently it was a slow month because they both said we're sighting in our rifles. I didn't know how to take it. Well, that's good. Don't shoot this way. You know?
Yeah.
And we were lucky today to have the mayor of Big Falls with us. And I usually, your clerk here usually sends me a little missive about what's going on in Big Falls. And
The main thing we're working on right now is we've completed phase 2 of our campground, and now we've applied for phase 3 to build some camper cabins and
Oh,
and
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
community fire pit, and we've applied through the Trails and Waterways again for that money. We should find out, I think, the end of November if we receive that grant. And there's still people have bought the restaurant here in town, and they still say they're going to open it, but I'm not sure when. But
That campground is really a jewel.
Yes,
We just
yeah.
drove through here again,
Yeah,
and looked at their
yeah.
pavilion, and
no, it's been very well done.
Well, it's the best one in the county. There's no other place like it. Great view.
yeah.
it's amazing too. We were just saying, even with the rain we've had, the flow through there is
It's non-existent.
it's just incredible how little is going through there.
We would like to have I don't know if you're aware, but there's the two channels to the river, and the north one was all blasted in the early 1900s to build the power plant. There was a dam here with a power plant, and the way it's worked is when the water gets low, it all goes through that in an artificial way.
Yep.
And it would be nice to be able to just block that off so that it would flow where you could see the
The
river.
natural
better.
channel. Yeah. Well, yeah, we were working on that for a while.
We actually proposed that a new hydro unit be put in there.
Right.
And we had a lot of support, except from the Minnesota Department of
DNR.
DNR and their water folks. They were just dead set against it.
Yeah.
I think there's some issues with the fact that, like right now, it wouldn't generate any
Right.
power.
Right.
And in high water, it would generate. I don't know if it would ever be feasible. And I have to admit, I live upriver, and I'm a little nervous about a dam being put in that
Yeah.
will flood me too. So.
Yeah.
We engaged the co-op, and I think, and maybe you remember better than I do, Paul, but they were enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
They thought they might be able to augment, and it was the only source of power for Big Falls for years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Who owned it? Was it municipally owned?
It was owned by a private fellow, a Croswell, his name was originally, and then it ended up selling to Minn Kota, I believe,
Okay. Yeah.
and then they shut it down. It wasn't feasible at that
Yeah.
time. I don't know if there've been improvements in that type of thing or not.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we were doing some research on that, we involved a lot of different people. You know, you can imagine all these different entities that have to get involved, Army Corps and
Oh, yeah.
DNR and all those people. But the one gentleman was talking about how many dams they are now removing that have been around for a long time. They're returning to their natural. And there's a lot of disagreement about whether that's a good thing or not. It's almost like restoring or damming up some of these ditches in Cooch. Remember the DNR was talking about damming them up, and
No, they still are.
yeah, and that would be just awful. I mean, I would think, it was incredible once you start down that rabbit hole with these organizations. You find out how tough it is to, even if you propose some of these things, how quickly groups figure out a way to put hurdles in front of you or stop it or
It only takes one group to stop
Yeah.
these progress.
yeah. And they're well funded, and they always seem to have attorneys that are just ready to jump in and yeah. Anyway,
Is anything else you'd like to add in the way of comment for either the communities or?
did they get a grant for the housing here to fix that up?
Yes.
They did.
It was
Okay.
a city economic development.
Yeah. Is that underway or is it?
They have
It's completed?
Finished.
Okay.
They did they had two separate ones. The first one upgraded their heating system and air conditioning, and this last one did their roof.
Okay. Because if I recall, that they're owned by a group that has from out of the area, right? They've got several of
Yes.
these. Yeah. Yeah.
It was very hard to find out who owned them.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's a lot.
they've been a tough
Yeah.
place to deal with, but it's all going well at the moment.
Good. Good. And the old school, is that gonna come
But
down,
that would be a question for the county.
it's tax forfeit now.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about
What I understand is there is asbestos in there, so that it would be a simple deal to just demolish it, except for that. So I'm not sure. I think it's just kind of there now.
Yeah,
I don't-
yeah.
Unless some money came available, I don't think anybody would touch it.
Have you heard anything more, Mayor, about the Pete project west of
I
here?
have not recently.
We did look into the viability of the into school for the personnel, but it would be a long drive every day, early and late. So they told us it wouldn't work for them.
Yeah, everything that you were at the same meeting as I was like a year ago, and they basically sounded like they would build a man camp right out there to house their employees. And they realized they would have to bring a number of employees with them. Not many people want to work in the swamp by the Fire Road truck trail.
You can't imagine why.
And once you get them there, you want to keep them there. So
Well, they're not leaving.
No, yeah.
I always thought there should be a prison out there
Yeah.
because nobody'd ever escape.
There may be a few flies,
Yeah, a few.
insects.
Or 40 below, either one. You're not getting out of there.
There's no one here for public comment. The minutes would note that. And setting the next meeting date. Is there any chance that people would consider doing it Thanksgiving week? Or is everybody too busy for that?
I'll be out of town the whole week.
Well, it's generally the third Wednesday.
Correct.
The 19th.
Yes. The 19th.
I won't be around.
I won't either.
Here we go. Well,
Well, we could move right on to December then.
Mr. Chair, I guess we could maybe send out an email suggesting a couple dates or,
Okay.
and see what comes back.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
To be
I could
determined.
always try a Monday too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would seek them, if there's no other thing that we're gonna deal with here, I would request a motion for adjournment.
Moved.
Second.
I'm not calling for a vote, it's done.